Holla and hello. Thank you for joining me today, guys. How are you doing? Today I'm going to react to this right here. Some stats, guys. The United States versus Germany, police and penal system disparities. Now, I will say right off the bat, this channel absolutely, its goal is in no way to trash the United States, right? I love the United States. But when it comes to this topic right here, if I had to guess, we're probably not going to come out ahead, Which, means you guys will. This is just a prediction, though. I have no idea. I don't know by what metrics this is trying to compare or quantify, the police system in the United States versus Germany. Hey, maybe the United States has the world-renowned police system. Or maybe it's, despite it being critiqued worldwide, it's actually got the best stats. It's possible. Some good old American optimism. I'm going to go in with an open mind. Come on, USA, USA. Let's see. All right, fatal police shootings. Oh, boy. Annual rate per 10 million residents. In the USA, 32.8. Compared to Germany, 1.2. Okay, it looks like in this regard, we are not going to beat the allegations. That's actually totally stunning. 27 times higher. What exactly is this stat? This is how often a police... or how many people die by the hands of police out of 10 million. So this has been adjusted, to compare apples to apples, per 10 million. Because a lot of times you see stats or you see anecdotal things and you can say, well, the United States is a much bigger country, which is true. But here, unfortunately for me, they've adjusted it. So, yeah, in this regard... 27 times more people die by police. Now, of course, you have to put this in the context of, guns being much more common and deregulated here in the States because of the Second Amendment that we have in our Constitution. And so that really heavily influences all of the police protocols when dealing with people. And they're basically always assuming that you could be armed because you could be. And, it also makes a reality where sometimes they are dealing, or way more often in Germany, the police are dealing with someone who is armed and dangerous. So I could see why this is way, way higher here in the States. Yeah, I could see that. That is absolutely wild, though, that it's 27 times higher. Holy crap. Police encounters. Wow, kind of surprising to me. What does this say? 21% of population. Oh, 21% of the U.S. population is stopped annually, compared to Germany, where it's only 9.5%. Another way of saying that is that there's 210 stops per 1,000 people annually, compared to Germany, 95 per 1,000 people. Wow, that's pretty remarkable. Holy crap. Holy crap, dude. I'm really trying to think of the implications of that. Are we committing twice as many crimes, or are the police just twice as vigilant? In terms of thinking about, the USA is supposed to be, a land of freedom, it does not sit right with me that we're stopped so often by the state. That gives me a yucky feeling. So I do not like that. Evaluating the level of routine contact between police and the civilian public, including traffic stops, security checks, and identity requests. I guess if I have to, point out one mitigating factor, the prevalency of traffic cameras in Germany, where, from my understanding, you're not getting stopped for speeding in Germany. If you're going a few kilometers per hour over the speed limit, you're probably not going to be stopped. You're just going to get mailed a ticket. So I guess in that way, that at least in some way contributes to the United States having way more stops is because we don't do that. Well, we do that to an extent. Like, let me rephrase that. We do that, just not as common. It's really, from what I've ever only seen, it's only ever done at a traffic light, and it's still quite rare. But some traffic lights have like a red light camera, and it will send you in the mail a ticket if you run the red light. Remarkable stat. Let's move on. Holy crap, guys. Okay. Annual arrests. 3 times higher. Are Americans just committing many more crimes? That's what I'm wondering. Does this say something more about the police or about the citizens? Either way, that's not exactly great. 3 times as many arrests in America. Per 100,000 residents. 3,000 compared to 1,100. The per capita booking and arrest rate in the U.S. is nearly triple that of Germany. Yeah, I can see that. In fact, these bars are not even to scale. This makes it look like it's only double, whereas it is triple. Now, I guess if I had to, try to twist this in the most beneficial way toward America, if I'm really trying to put on my, patriot, Fox News goggles that just see the world in red, white, and blue, I could say, well, maybe the U.S. police are just way better at arresting the criminals. You guys are letting them all go free. Maybe that's a factor. I don't know. But I will say it does not look good for America. I must say that. I must concede that. Oh my God, what is this? Violent stops. Okay, I mean, this goes back to the first one, not exactly surprising that considering the amount of fatal stops are 27 times higher, the amount of violent stops being 10 times higher. Wow. I mean, it is shocking, but not surprising, if that makes sense. And this is use of force by police, presumably. I mean, if you're using the term use of force, then I assume it's by police on the perpetrators or the people being arrested, Holy crap. I could also see there being a phenomenon of Americans just aren't very compliant. It's kind of like a culture of non-compliance in certain ways. Or at least that's tangential to other aspects of the culture, if that makes sense. So, a lot of times, I guess, seemingly, when people are being arrested, they don't accept it. They're not just like, okay, fine. They're like, you're gonna have to arrest me then, and then they run away, and you got to tackle them. Police deaths, holy shit. This shows you that it's not as simple as to say, the police in America are violent. The people they're arresting are violent. So it's almost equal. It's almost equal. It's 20 times higher. You know what I mean? Like, the discrepancy is almost equal compared to the first one, 20 times as many cops die in America as Germany, and 20 times as many incidents of cops killing people happen in America as Germany. Not good. Not good. Holy crap, dude. That's remarkably different. Wow. At the same time, when you remove guns from the equation, not entirely, I know there are some guns in Germany, certainly, but not nearly as many as in America. Well, obviously that's the number one tool that would ever be used to, I feel wrong even saying this, but that would, cause this. Like, without a gun, you would have to use, like, a knife or something. Which, that does remind me, I saw that video out of Germany. A really horrible video, like a year ago, of that happening. But obviously, that's remarkably rare. Whew. That's scary. That's a scary stat for an American cop right there. Must say. You know, because, I mean, a lot of times American cops get a bad rap, and sometimes it's justified, you know. But also, like, you gotta hand it to them. They got a pretty dangerous job, considering the entire society is armed to the teeth. Now, as far as the police force, you guys actually have way more cops per people. Huh. I'm just sitting here like, wow, that's really shocking, considering you guys arrest people 66% less. You make 1/3 of the arrests as we do, but you have double the cops. So what are they all doing? What are they all doing, guys? I'm sorry. I'm joking. I'm sure you German cops, shout out to the German cops out there. I'm sure you're doing some hard work. I just don't know what it is, because you're not arresting people and there's twice as many of you. That is really interesting, actually. And it's really kind of surprising because I feel like there's plenty of American cops, you know. It's not like over here in America we have some shortage of cops. Honestly, it feels about right. I'd say it's about appropriate. Like, I mean, let's see. How many are there? 242 per 100,000. So 1 out of 400 people is a cop. Seems, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of arbitrary. I don't know what to think of that, but just kind of like, anecdotally speaking, being out in America, you see a cop, you know, you might drive by a cop once a day or so, maybe twice, if you're out driving. And it seems, all right. I guess I'd be curious to know the response times. You know, if there's that many more cops, then hopefully the response time in Germany is faster. I don't even know if this is like, do we have concrete numbers on this? I mean, what does it even really mean? Like, response to what? I guess in general, it's similar between Germany and USA, but it's 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, that's a big... 10 minutes is double 5 minutes, so that's a big discrepancy. You know, it's a large range. So I don't know what to say about that. And, of course, the United States is a less densely populated country. Let's move on. Prison. Average prison sentence. USA versus Germany. Now, here we triple it. Whether you look at this and think it's a good or a bad thing, this is for violent crimes. I don't know. I guess that's like a political... I don't know. I would have to judge any given prison sentence. I would judge on an individual level for if I think it's appropriate or not. In general, violent offenders, I don't really care if you lock them up for good. I don't really care. I know maybe that sounds ruthless. Yeah, I just don't have much sympathy for like violent criminals. I don't care. Lock them up for 5 years, 6 years. I don't care. Now, the non-violent ones, I feel totally differently about. Unless you're a thief. If you're a thief, I also really don't care. You can lock them up. Now, if they're like a child, then I do care a lot more, you know? And that way, I do care more. Because, you know, if someone still has... If they're a child and or they're really young and they have time to change... Or if they're just being stupid because they're a kid, then, you know, okay, whatever, you know, that will impact the sentence or how I think the sentence, how long it should be. But if you're a freaking adult and you're going around stealing people's stuff, I really don't care. Send them away. I don't care. That sounds so conservative of me, doesn't it? Anyway, average police pay. Okay. 74 compared to 58. All right. Make a little more money here in the States. probably work a little bit longer hours if I had to guess. That's a total. I just know police tend to work kind of long hours here in the States. I mean, this is the base salary. Okay, so I guess that wouldn't really, because I'm thinking of overtime. You know, cops actually make a lot of money, more than this, because they work overtime, and overtime pay is really high. So they'll make 100 grand or whatever. But that's not factoring into this. I mean, it's within standard deviation, right? Not much different there. Not a huge difference. All right, that's it. Thank goodness, I couldn't take any more of that. Well, I was right. That did not reflect super highly upon America. Other than, we are really good at catching the criminals, guys. Actually, let's look that up. I don't even know if, you know, like, can AI even answer this question right here, guys? I don't freaking know. I asked it, what percentage of reported thefts go unsolved in USA versus Germany? I used theft because, like, with murder, you know, the fact that people aren't using guns in Germany, I think, compared to the USA, like, that would impact how easy it is to solve that crime, you know? But theft is much different. So, US and Germany, property crimes like theft have the lowest solve rates of any major crime category. However, data shows reported thefts go unsolved at significantly higher rate in the US than in Germany. Shit! Did I read that right? Thefts go unsolved at a higher rate in the US than in Germany. We're arresting triple the people, but solving less of the crimes? Sorry. Let's relax a little bit. Okay, it's not like a huge discrepancy, but still, I was hoping this would be something we were ahead in. So in the States, say 75% go unsolved. In Germany, 62% go unsolved. So, okay, lesson learned. Thieves in either country, you're probably going to get away with it. That's great. That's freaking great. All right. I'm going to relax. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.